Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 4 articles in this episode for you, and the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. The first one I have here is off of InfoWars, and it says, coincidence? Obama makes surprise visit to Hawaii 48 hours before judge blocks Trump travel ban. A ruling by federal judge in Hawaii that blocked President Donald Trump's travel ban was announced less than 48 hours after Barack Obama made a surprise visit to Honolulu, leading some to speculate that the former president may have schemed with the judge he originally appointed. Hours before Trump's travel ban on individuals from 6 Muslim countries was set to go into effect yesterday, U.S. District Court Judge Derek Watson, who presides in Honolulu, slapped down the policy, citing Trump's comments on Muslims during the presidential campaign as part of his reason for blocking the ban. Watson was nominated by Obama to the position in November of 2012, having graduated from Harvard Law School in the same year as Obama. As the Honolulu Star reported, Obama made an unannounced return to Hawaii Monday, just 3 months after his last official holiday visit as president, arriving with a small entourage that included Secret Service detail. Eagle-eyed Reddit users noted that Obama at the Noi Thai restaurant, which is just minutes away from the courthouse, and that Obama was likely within 5 minutes of the judge's house at one point on the drive over. Pop Sugar reports that Obama played golf but was still making time to take care of business. There we go. As he met with tech leaders, and that his return to politics might be sooner than we think. Given that Obama appointed the judge, graduated in the same year as him, and visited Honolulu, and was within minutes of the judge's less than 48 hours before Judge Watson made a major ruling that blocked Trump's travel ban, it doesn't take a wild-eyed conspiracy theorist to insinuate that the two could have met. The speculation follows reports that Obama has created a nerve center just 2 miles from the White House, which is serving as war room for his bid to lead an insurgency against Trump and a bid to sabotage his presidency. A source close to Obama told the Daily Mail that Obama's ultimate goal was to force Trump to step down, either through resignation or impeachment, and that the former president is dismayed at the way Trump is tearing down his legacy. Obamacare, the social safety net, and the welcome mat for refugees he put in place. Last month, Eric Holder also vowed that Obama was close to returning to politics, stating, "It's coming, he's coming, and we're ready to roll." The next article is off of Breitbart. And waiting for the hamster to roll it up here on the screen. There we go. Robert Barnes, Hawaii Obama judge rules Muslim imam has special constitutional rights to bring anyone from terror countries into America. In a ruling issued on Wednesday afternoon, a federal judge and Obama appointee prevented the President of the United States from enforcing his own executive order to protect the terror-riddled countries. The judge then prevented every other judge and every other state from following the president's order, the judge making himself a one-man Supreme Court and substitute president. The judge then held that American universities and immigrants living here can prohibit America from ever limiting immigration from Muslim-heavy countries, claiming that the First Amendment gives Muslim-dominant nations a right of immigration to America. Such arrogance and abuse of authority sound familiar? Such First Amendment favoritism toward Islam sound familiar? Well, Obama did appoint this judge, and rule of thumb with federal judges is they tend to mirror the psychologies of the man who appointed them. The judge's ruling is completely lawless, mirroring Obama's deep state allies in his shadow government's attempt to sabotage the Trump presidency. There is no precedent for the court's order. In fact, every precedent is against the court order. Just read the detailed logic and scholastic citation of proper governing legal authorities from the decision of a moderately liberal Boston judge who upheld every part of Trump's prior order. To give you an idea of how lawless the decision is, just try to find the analogs case of Hawaii judge cites for his ruling. There is none. Not one single prior example of another judge ever doing what this judge did to the extent he did it. To give you another example of how baseless the court's ruling is, even liberal law professors and scribes criticize the more limited Ninth Circuit decision that this Hawaii judge goes far beyond. Liberal law professor Turley noted Trump should win a challenge against the ruling. Liberal Democrat professor Alan Dershowitz noted the same. Liberal law scribe Jeffrey Tobin conceded the same. Here's a few reasons why. First, nationwide injunctions for non-party plaintiffs are not supposed to happen. A district judge presides over his district, not the nation. He should not overrule other judges nor dictate his opinions on the whole nation. The law does not make him a single judge. Supreme Court. The Supreme Court itself warned against issuing any relief not individually and specifically necessary to the plaintiff before the court, noting that neither declaratory nor injunctive relief can directly interfere with enforcement of contested statutes or ordinances, except with respect to the particular federal plaintiffs. The Supreme Court warned against extending its reach beyond the particular federal plaintiffs in this case. The Ninth Circuit itself even admits this. The principles of comity compel that a court should not grant national relief when doing so would create tensions with other courts and circuits and would encourage forum shopping. The Ninth Circuit further reinforced that a federal court may not attempt to determine the rights of parties not before the court. What kind of case was the Ninth Circuit saying not to extend your ruling beyond the plaintiff in front of you? An immigration case. National Circuit for Rights versus the INS 743 F2D 1365 Ninth Circuit in 1984. The Ninth Circuit repeated its principle again and again. That's why the Supreme Court reversed a California judge's order, just like this Hawaii judge's order, imposing a national ban beyond its limited district jurisdiction of the parties before him. Second, there is no constitutional right to a visa or a right of immigration or immigration. A quick recap of key Supreme Court decisions explains why. Aliens outside the country receive no constitutional protection. The Supreme Court repeatedly held an alien seeking initial admission to the United States request a privilege and has no constitutional rights regarding his application, for the power to admit or exclude aliens is a sovereign prerogative. Thus, the president may shut out aliens whenever the president determines such entry would be prejudicial to the interests of the United States. Congress expressly authorized this presidential action in one statute, in the Ninth Circuit tried to hide it in its, try this again. Let me start over with that whole sentence. Congress expressly authorized this presidential action in the one statute in the Ninth Circuit tried to hid it. I think it's supposed to be hide. That's what threw me off. Tried to hide it in its prior decision, cited above at 8 U.S.C. 1182. The actions of the president in respect of enforcing this law are largely immune from judicial inquiry or interference. This is because the Constitution entrusts the power to regulate immigration exclusively to the political branches of the federal government. As the Supreme Court recently reiterated during Clinton's presidency, judicial deference to the executive branch is especially appropriate in the immigration context, given the sensitive position that implicate questions of foreign relations. Admission into America is a privilege, not a right. Congress gave the president a broad statutory authority to exclude any aliens he saw fit to. A full recitation of that law is useful because it is the one law the Hawaii judge, like the Ninth Circuit Court, hid from. And here it is, Section F, suspension of entry, or imposition of restriction by president. Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or of any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such a period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or oppose on the entry of aliens any restrictions that he may deem to be appropriate. Whenever the Attorney General finds that a commercial airline has failed to comply with regulations of Attorney General relating to requirements of airlines for the detection of fraudulent documents used by passengers traveling to the United States, including the training of personnel in such detention, in such detection, the Attorney General may suspend the entry of some or all aliens transported to the United States by such an airline. The law is clear in the power it gives the president in the statute cited above, 8 U.S.C. 1182F. Like the Ninth Circuit decision before, the Hawaii judge goes out of his way to pretend this statute does not exist. Indeed, it has never addressed in any real way the court's entire option, much of which appeared pre-written prior to the oral argument. Just as we have a right to decide which strangers enter our home and who sleeps next to our daughter's bedroom or eats our family's food, we as a country enjoy the democratic right to decide who enters our country, who lives next to us as a neighbor, and who enjoys the fruits of our ancestral inheritance. The Hawaii Obama judge went much further in the opposite direction. He claimed an immigrant here has a right to bring in whatever other immigrants he wants, even citizens from terror-riddled, Sharia law supporting, failed corrupt states that cannot vet or screen would-be aliens entering the U.S. Ask San Bernardino how that worked out. Third, the First Amendment does not apply to foreign aliens. That's how we kept terror-minded anarchists out of the nation and sabotage-minded communists out of the nation. That is how every president for more than a century limited migrants based on ideology or statehood. That is why we were much more successful than Europe in limiting the anarchist-inspired violence that led Europe into World War I, and in limiting communist internal sabotage that led much of Eastern Europe into communist totalitarianism. Every federal court followed that process in limiting immigration from Muslim terror nations after 9/11. This Hawaii's court decision directly conflicts with those circuits, but per usual, it never even mentions any of those authorities. As the Second Circuit noted, one major threat of terrorist attacks comes from radical Islamic groups. The September 11th attacks were facilitated by violations of immigration laws by aliens from predominantly Muslim nations. The program was clearly tailored to those facts. This court's ruling would overturn all of that and basically claims every president since Teddy Roosevelt violated the First Amendment in our immigration policies. Put simply, the Hawaii federal judge ruled that because the imam was Muslim and his would-be migrant visas wish list came from Muslim-dominated nations, the First Amendment gave him a special right to bring whomever he wanted into the country, even from terror-riddled countries and security-compromised states the president recognized as a direct threat to the peace of the people. The First Amendment has never applied to right of immigration of foreign aliens, nor does it compel religious favoritism toward Muslims. This is the new left's interpretation of the Constitution, and it is as perilous to our policies as the deep state within and radical Islam abroad. The Hawaiian judge didn't interpret, or just try this again, the Hawaiian Obama judge didn't interpret the Constitution, he rewrote it, usurping to himself the sole power to control borders, then delegated the exercise of that power to a Muslim imam and his free visa wish list. The judge dishonored the rule of the law in his order and disrespected our legal traditions and governing legal authorities in his reasoning for it. He effectively declared himself king and executioner. Meet the New Left's America. Foreigners first, Muslims preferred, law last, elections irrelevant. The next article that I have for you is off of BizPac Review. And it says, Trump slams federal judge who blocked travel ban. Applause in Nashville. We're going to fight. Round 2 was also blocked by a federal judge, and the president isn't at all happy. President Donald Trump ripped the U.S. District Court Judge Derek Watson after Watson, sitting in Honolulu, Hawaii, issued a temporary halt to Trump's travel ban from 6 Middle Eastern countries Wednesday. Trump delivered the bad and the sad news to a huge rally of supporters in Nashville, Tennessee, shortly after the ruling was handed down. The order he blocked was a watered-down version of the first one, Trump said as the crowd booed. This is, in the opinion of many, an unprecedented judicial overreach, he added, and then pledged to continue battling the judiciary. We're going to fight this terrible ruling. We're going to take this case as far as it needs to go, including all the way up to the Supreme Court, he vowed. We're going to win, and we're going to keep our citizens safe, he promised. The danger is clear. The law is clear. The need for my executive order is clear. The judge ruled that Trump's revised executive order violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment to the Constitution, which prohibits the establishment of any religion by Congress. The president revised temporary travel ban makes no mention of religion whatsoever. The illogic of the government's contentiousness is palpable. Watson nevertheless wrote, the notion that one can demonstrate animus toward any group of people only by targeting all of them at once is fundamentally flawed. As expected, Trump's supporters had his back. And there is a list of tweets from the Trump supporters. See, I'll grab one here. It says, send all incoming refugees to Hawaii. They want them. They can have them. Problem solved. It says, and another observed that Hawaii, ironically, is shipping all of its homeless to the continental United States. And it says, author and former Secret Service agent Dan Bogneau observed that Hawaii is within the 9th U.S. Circuit and is where Watson's order would first be appealed to. Dan Bogneau says, can we all stop pretending that the 9th Circuit is a real court? It's a bunch of politicians in black robes and nothing more. So there you have that article. You want to read all the tweets, you can pull it up and read those. That's all I have for you in this episode. If you like what we're doing here, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to enjoy the news. And don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll stay informed. I'll see you in the next episode.